Join Scotty G Tuesday. He's going to be at My Hearing Center noon to 3. My Hearing Center, 8941 South, 700 East in Sandy.
Huh? My Hearing Center. Get it?
I got it. DJ, PK, KG, Kevin Graham. Good morning, Kevin.
Hello. I can barely hear as well. I think it's a radio thing, by the way. You know, you wear headphones, earplugs, or earpieces, your whole life. So my left ear is about dead. So I'm heading out there. I'll fly in. All right. All
right. Have you made the trip? You've been to Costco. You stocked up on the chips and on the dip. You prepared yourself for a massive pregame show, and then the last 3 hours of football for a few months.
No, but I will be watching football for the last 3 months. Yeah. No, I got not diagnosed per se, but my blood pressure is really high, is what a doctor told me last week, which is a new thing. So I've decided that with all the snow here in lovely Charlotte, North Carolina, where I currently reside, I'm driving 4 hours south to go to Hilton Head, which is a little island, and I'm going to do what everybody does to lower blood pressure, and that's play golf for 4 days. So I'm really looking forward to that because, golf will totally, just because I'm so great at it, it will relax me. So, yeah. But no, I will be ready and willing and watching the game. I'm very excited. I'm bittersweet, actually, because, the season's coming to an end. That means I'm not going to be a regular on Fridays with you guys anymore. So I'm a little sad in that regard, but I'm hopeful for a good game. So that's all we can hope for. And I'm very excited in seeing Bugs Bunny's halftime show because that's going to be a lot of fun as well. The Looney Tunes, that's when cartoons were like at the top. You know what I mean? Like Bugs and Elmer Fudd and Gen Zers, look that up. That's when cartoons were at the top. So I'm very excited for the Bugs Bunny halftime show.
I get their new cartoons, but I can't believe that stuff is more available somewhere in the 5 billion channel universe, and with everything streaming, the fact that there's a generation growing up without hearing Wascally Wabbit drives me nuts.
I know, man. Elmer Fudd and Sylvester and Tweety and Coyote and chasing down the Roadrunner. And of course, and you're not going to find a couple of them because, there's a couple that probably should have been canceled, like Speedy Gonzalez and Pepe Le Pew. So, yeah, those two you probably don't want to search out. But all the other ones were pretty fun.
I'm wondering if you have an internal conflict, because obviously you took a shot at my guy Bad Bunny, and you are a big Kid Rock fan, and I know that you're extreme left, but the alternative to Bad Bunny is Kid Rock is putting on, I don't know exactly where it's going to be on, but he's doing a halftime show. So how do you reconcile that?
Well, I hate politics, and so I take the politics out. I am annoyed the fact that it's so political. Where we got Bad Bunny, gonna do his show and everything on the left side, and then Kid Rock is a right side, and he's going to be on Turning Point USA, I think, is where I saw. But no, I'll have one on the TV, which I'll probably have Bad Bunny, and then I'll have Kid Rock on the phone too. And I just like the music, at least Kid Rock's music. I only had 2 years of Spanish, so I'm not really sure how much I'm going to actually recognize of Bad Bunny singing. But I remember uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis. So if he counts up to 6, I'll know that. All right, I'll be good there. So. I don't remember my 2 years of high school Spanish.
I got numbers and colors, and after that, I probably have 50 random words, and then I'm done.
Yeah, it's fine. Look, it's great. Whatever. It's entertainment, and I'm all about entertainment. So I do though, and that's the one thing about the Super Bowl that I don't like is I love that it should be a national holiday and we should all have Monday off afterwards, but that's besides the point. It's just so big, and for us diehards, us old schoolers, I do like football. So that's why I really don't do parties like I used to and all that. I want to watch the game, and so my hope is that the game is at least as entertaining as all the craziness around it will be.
The Sam Darnold thing is something that is really fun to look at his career, right? He comes out of San Clemente, which that area down there in Southern California is a powerhouse for putting out quarterbacks. His high school, John Beck's son, is the starting high school quarterback at the same high school that Darnold went to. SC, what was he, the third pick?
Yep,
and
third pick.
It's just flounder. a little bit in Minnesota, and then they let him go. Obviously, they got the other kid from Michigan. And then we know to Seattle. Then Seattle was a 10-win team, but Geno Smith wasn't viewed as good enough in Seattle's minds. And clearly they make the right decision. How do you explain the Sam Darnold phenomenon? And now he is, I think they're going to win. And if that's the case, then he's going to be a Super Bowl winning quarterback. And he was thought of as a protege, but then he was thought of as a bum, and now he's back on top. It's almost like in a way, it's a Kurt Warner type story. Kurt's obviously was a little more dramatic, but it's something that I find fascinating.
And I followed it. I mean, I was in Dallas when he got drafted. I was at that draft. I attended the press conference. And as you guys know, and if any long-term listeners know, I'm a huge Jets fan. So here we were drafting out the quarterback. But, the downfall for him is, and a lot of it is just what organization is picking you. He was only 20 years old, and he only had played 2 years of college football. So when he goes to the Jets, who immediately needed a quarterback to play right away, at 20 years old in the Big Apple in New York, in an organization that's one of the worst in professional sports in the entire world, it was just not a fit. And he gets thrown in, he struggles, he doesn't get the coaching he needs. And then, Carolina, that was a dumpster fire as well. Finally, San Francisco, I think, is when finally he could settle in. And again, you're talking now he's 24, maybe 25, something like that, maybe 25 probably when he was in San Francisco. Now he goes with a coach that knows how to coach a quarterback. He was a backup, had no pressure. He actually got to learn. And then what's he do? He goes to Minnesota with another good coach that knows quarterbacks, has a good system, has good players around him, plays really well, does have a meltdown in his last 2 games, one being the last game of the regular season and then the playoffs as well. But then, he goes, Minnesota says, well, we drafted a young quarterback. We're going to keep him. We're going to go with him. And that failed miserably for Minnesota due to injuries with J.J. McCarthy. And now he ends up in Seattle in another great situation where he has playmakers and a system around him. I think being the NFL, being an NFL copycat league, and I don't know if it's going to happen now because pressure now, not only from ownership, a lot of these owners don't know what the hell they're doing and throw all this money at these teams, coaches trying to save their rear ends, fans because we're so impatient, we want our teams to win. But the end game to me, what we're learning, and if the NFL's smart with the copycat of the way NFL typically works, you've got to be patient with these younger quarterbacks. I mean, Patrick Mahomes didn't play his first year. And I know these days it's harder, but just think of it from a common sense standpoint. You're a terrible team. I mean, we're going to see it with the Raiders when they draft Mendoza, and they're probably going to throw him in right away. And what's going to happen? He's going to suck. And he's going to struggle. And some guys, like a Peyton Manning, the great ones can survive that. Peyton Manning was terrible in his first year with the Colts. Some of these players can survive that, but other ones can't. And so, and particularly if you're not surrounded by a good team around you. So, in the world where none of us are patient, patience to me is the way to go with younger quarterbacks like this. I mean, look at our days, man. These guys would sit for 3, 4, 5. Steve Young's a Hall of Famer and didn't play for how many years because he was down, he was behind Joe Montana. I mean, the list goes on of guys that sat and learned and got some experience and learned from a veteran quarterback in front of them. And by the way, the team still sucks, so they were able to draft better players. Then if you do like New England where you get some good free agents to come into play too, and now you're surrounded by a team when it's time for this quarterback to step up and perform. And I'm happy for Sam Darnold. One enemy's bitter. It's like, God, I wish he could do that for the Jets. But the other part of me is like, the Jets suck. They're a train wreck. So he got wronged. And so I love the fact that he's turned it around, and now he's got a chance not only to win the Super Bowl, but, if I was a betting man, which means I'm totally going to lose this bet, but I would say he's the favorite for MVP as well, because if Seattle's going to win, he's obviously going to be an instrumental part of that.
I get the argument that this game is really big for Darnold, right? Because it's the proverbial Steve Young monkey off my back. I can do it. I have done it. I'm holding the Super Bowl trophy. That's a massive story. But isn't it also a massive story for May? A guy at his age getting his first Super Bowl on a team that looks like it has rock-solid ownership. It looks like they've got a rock-solid coach. They got more than $30 million of cap money next year. A chance to repeat, a chance to be a multi-Super Bowl winner, Hall of Famer. I mean, he could really, it's not like he's kicking off his career. He's played in the NFL, but I mean, he could really put some jet fuel in his career and the arc of his career with a win in this game.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. I mean, and again, I hate the Patriots as a Jets fan. I despise the fact that they only sucked for 2 years and they're back in a Super Bowl again. But a lot of that credit goes to Drake May and the way he's performed. Now, with that said, he's still young. He's taken 15 sacks in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. There are issues there. I think
Turnovers.
He has not played that well, quite frankly, in the play. Exactly. And the other thing, too, and I don't want to demean the Patriots because you play what's in front of you. If you look at their schedule, guys, they only played in the regular season 3 teams with a winning record. 3 of their 17 games had winning. And guess what? They were 1-2 in those games. They beat the Bills once, lost to the Bills, and they lost to the Steelers. That's it. So they also got the benefit of a great schedule. Now, they get in the playoffs and win the games they need to play. Again, sometimes it's luck. Well, let's face it, C.J. Stroud's a terrible quarterback. Houston's offense was inept, so they beat them. Then they get Stidham, and they beat them. I mean, the Chargers do what you do, DJ, like the L.A. Chargers. Herbert, I mean, he's a great quarterback, but they had a ton of injuries all year long and probably weren't the legit force of a playoff team as you would expect going in. And so they did get a good road to the Super Bowl, and they're there. I think what's going to be interesting to see is how he, being Drake May, and the Patriots in general, just performed being in that light. The same thing with Seattle, too. I talked to some media types I know that were covering the teams, this week, and I actually had 2 different people tell me that the opinion they got of just talking to players and whatnot, and again, who knows whether they're reading it right, is that Seattle seems super focused and dialed in. The Patriots kind of have that big eye look about them, like their eyes are blown up, like, oh my gosh, look what we're in, because obviously they had no expectations to get there, where Seattle at least, had some and thought that they can challenge at least for a division title, where the Patriots were just hoping to get to 500 or a little bit above 500. So I don't know, we'll see how it breaks down. But yeah, I mean, that's what disgusts me. New England is going to be really good because they do have a franchise quarterback. They do have a great coach who just got Coach of the Year honors. They do have really good ownership. They do have cap money, like you just said. They have a system in play. They are a championship franchise, unfortunately, and they're going to be really good going forward. I am going to be curious of how they do next year when they actually play a first-place schedule, but, still – you're right. They have it all laid out. But sometimes, too, that could go against you because he is so young and he's going to be in this league for many, many years and have opportunities probably going forward to get to a Super Bowl as well and win some.
Yeah, that's the way I look at it with New England. They're just getting started. I don't believe at the pro level anybody plays with house money. I never bought that expression, but I don't think there's an enormous amount of pressure on these guys because if they lose, as long as they don't get beat 48-0, they can look at it and say, wow, we had a really good season and we're just getting started. New coach, young quarterback, blah, blah, blah. And so the expectation with the folks in New England will be, we'll be knocking on the door. You never know if you can get back. So we can go from that standpoint and go forward here with that in mind, which is why I sort of, from the psychological standpoint, not just like the betting favorite, but from the mindset, I think that Seattle is more of the favorite because I think Seattle is expecting to win. I wonder if New England is really expecting to win, if they're just caught up in being there. But at the same token, you've got a veteran coach who's a tough guy and all that. And over there for the Seahawks, it's like this new breed of coach, right?
Yeah.
A young guy that not a lot of people knew about and the mind and all that. And it seems like, and that's my question, is that what we're going to see now going forward? These guys that maybe didn't play at the highest level, but they come from the analytical, almost to the point of being savants when it comes to the brain capacity to have the knowledge to run a team. Do you think that that's something that if Seattle does win with this great season that they've had, that's the way we'll go and we'll start seeing more of these types of people getting these types of head coaching jobs?
I think that's a great point. I mean, I'm just looking down the list of the 10 coaches that were hired this offseason. I mean, you look at Stefanski, Mike LaFleur of Arizona. Dude, he was run out of town as the offensive coordinator of the Jets after 2 years. And then a couple of years later, he's now a head coach in the NFL. I mean, which is amazing. Jesse Minter, Joe Brady, Munkin from Cleveland, Kubiak. I mean, these are guys that outside of John Harbaugh, who's been there a long time, Jeff Hafley in Miami, Saleh, who was a terrible coach with the Jets and now getting a second chance. I mean, I think you bring up a good point. I think you are going to get a lot of guys because, again, being the copycat league that it is they're going to get guys that not only the analytics, but have the balance, have the old school football in them, but also utilize the analytics to be able to fuel, what players they go after, how they draft, how the organization runs, how they prepare. I think all that is in play, as you go forward.
Our poll question, Kevin, I just put it up. We're about 50 votes in here. Who wins the Super Bowl? Seahawks big. They cover -4.5. That's 2/3 of the voters, 67%. Yeah. Seahawks in a squeaker, another 17%. 8% for the Patriots and 8% for anybody who wants to golf. Tee times, baby. Let's go get them. The weather's good. You said you were going to golf. I just checked,
well,
PK.
Not during the Super Bowl.
Well, I just checked. Like, there's if you want to get onto Bonneville, there's like 2 slots open at 3:10 and 3:20 or something. Like even Rose Park.
Oh, there you go.
Pretty much booked up. That's usually a course. Maybe has a little more availability. Nope. People are over the Seahawks and Patriots. They're golfing. Look at our February weather. All right,
yes,
Kevin.
Yes.
We appreciate it as always. You're the man. Thank you.
No problem, guys. I appreciate you too, and Jake as well. You guys have a great Super Bowl Sunday. Always here to talk whenever you need me.
Okay, we'll talk to you, Kevin. All right. Thank you. Kevin Graham, there he is, joined us all season long talking about the National Football League and the Utes and the Cougars.